Hi, I'm Paul Brodie. We're in my shop. Welcome. Mitch is behind the camera, doing an excellent job as usual. Thank you, Mitch. We had a bunch of comments this last week, mostly on the torque arm, the torque stay, whatever you want to call it, and the lack of holes. So I'm going to tell you a little story. When I was in high school, I had a Hodaka and I modified everything on that bike. And I had a torque stay on the back and I drilled holes and it looked something like this. That's about how big the holes were. And I went riding out in the trails. I lived in the west side of Vancouver, so I was riding up in the UBC trails. And I put the brake on and there was a bang, a big bang, and the torque stay snapped and the brake rod wrapped around the axle and the hub partly. So I really learned a big lesson there about how to make things strong, not weak. So I was resistant to putting holes in the torque arm. So that's the reason why. It all goes back to when I was 16 years old. So anyway, as a compromise, I've come up with this, a series of small holes. So that's what we're going to do today. One of the things we're going to do today. I also wanted to mention that if you like Aermacchis, there's a good book. It's by Mick Walker. It came out in 1995, and I've looked at this book many times over the years. It's a good reference book. It's not that thick. Maybe you can find a used copy on addall.com, add.all.com. And good luck. It's a good book. So let's have a look at the race bike, and I'll show you what happened this week, and then we'll get to work. I've got a number plate on here, and Mitch was asking, why do I choose 358? Okay, if you're road racing, you get a number, and then every year you have to renew your number. Lots of people want a low number, so there's a bit of a fight to get a low number, and if you don't sign up in time, you can lose your number. I wanted a number that I didn't have to think about much as of next year, what's going to happen. So I chose a number up in the 300s because not many people ever choose numbers up in the 300s. So I could easily get that number every year, and 3 and 5 add up to 8. So I basically got a couple 8s. I just happen to like 8s. Around this side of the bike here, I've got a transponder. This is what scores the bike every time you cross the start-finish line. They're expensive, and I had an extra one, so it's on the bike now. I mounted the seat. It's got 1, 2, 3 mounts. I drill holes in the front here to add lightness. It's basically aluminum. I bonded it on with a 2-part epoxy, and then I fiberglassed the inside. I did a layer of matte, and then I put a layer of carbon fiber cloth just to be cool. The megaphone is on. I got a couple megaphones. I don't have the head torqued down. I have to work on the head nuts a bit. That's where the pipe's going to mount. So it's got an existing mount on it. Looks like there was one there. So I got to take those off and put a mount up to there. So that'll happen sometime, probably not today. I phoned up Work Shocks yesterday because I've had an order since March 11th. And he says, well, we didn't have a good month in April. They got a couple guys working for them. One guy's full-time, one guy's part-time. And in April, the part-time guy, he up and left suddenly, sounds like. And the full-time guy got sick. So I said, okay, I'm still on the list, so I'll just wait. So I have to have a little patience for my Work Shocks. So I think that's your update. I got the throttle working. I had to, shame to say it, I had to shorten the cable a little bit, but it works really well now, so I'm happy with that. That's your update. Let's go to the mill, and we're going to put some holes in a torque stay. I always like to draw things if I'm going to make holes, because then I see what it actually looks like. So this is what it looks like with 1/2 inch spacing. and this is 3/8 spacing. So I like the 3/8 spacing. It's closer, it looks a bit better. That's what we're going to do. Okay, last hole, that's it. Excellent. 15/64, so a little under 1/4. I was just telling Mitch I'm gun shy about drilling holes in a torque arm now after my bad experience 50 years ago. It's been a wobbly drill, but it seems to work. Would you like to guess, Mitch?
135.
I was going to say 30 grams. Okay, I'll say 28. 1 ounce. Oh, 148.5. So we saved 17 grams. Oh well, I think it looks okay. We're going to scratch that off the list. And I think we're going to do rocker arms next. This is a rocker arm, Aermacchi rocker arm, and this is one I did yesterday, so you can see what it looks like, the finished product. There's a lot of metal that comes off around here especially, and what I did, I made up a arbor. This gets held like so, goes in the lathe. I can do half because these guys are spinning around, so I can do half and then I flip it around and I do the other half, and then we're going to come back to the vise. I'm going to use the grinder and a spiral roll, and then we're going to use the belt sander. So we're moving on. Let's go to the lathe. I've got a rounded tool here. It's a 3/16 tool. So I'm just going to use hand feed as well, because we don't want anything to go wrong here. Okay, the tool bit's offset, so that's about how far I can go. Well, maybe right about there. So I'm going to work between here and here and take that down. It's hot. I'm going to move the tool. I'm going to re-angle the tool, and then I can go up a little bit more, and then I'll swap this piece around. I'll flip it around. So it's just a little bit at a time. That's how we do this. Got a file. It's sort of like a Warden file, and I'm just going to go over the middle here just to kind of blend it in. we don't have a camera shot of weighing it, but I've got the weight written down. It's 137 grams. So we're going to take about probably at least an ounce off, which is, that's quite a bit of weight off a part that moves this fast. At 8,000 RPM, this is going back and forth at 4,000 times each minute. That's pretty quick. Okay, we're going to go outside now and use the belt sander, and we're going to make this a lot smaller. Can you see how much smaller this one is? It's way smaller. So I'm going to mark this so that I know where to grind to. Maybe just on the outside of that line. Are you noticing that when I'm sanding or grinding on this, there's no sparks? There's sparks on the steel, so this is not steel, it's some kind of a stellite coating or something. It's really hard coating. You can see where the valve hits. The valve's hitting from here to here. So that's a big lump. Let's go out to the grinder and see if the grinder will just knock that off a little bit. The belt sander. I haven't done this side, so I'm going to do this side and sweep across. Did you notice how the belt is bending a little bit? On the belt sander video, there was a lot of comments and say, yeah, how come you spent so much money? Because I can buy a belt sander for 40 bucks off eBay. Well, this mechanism here allows the belt to flex like that. So you see when it flexes, it wraps around. So it'll wrap around that somewhat. And the other thing is that a cheap belt sander doesn't have that space, because it doesn't have that kind of spring. It moves a little bit. There's a reason why this belt sander is good. And I've got a couple little bumps in there, so I can do this. And that helps to smooth things out. I go one way, I go another way. That's called a crosshatch. See how the emery cloth is going up the radius a little bit? Not a whole lot, but then I do this way a bit, then I do that way a bit. And then the end result is you get a pretty nice finish. And then when you're satisfied with that, that's when you switch to 180. I spent a few hours on the other one. I probably could have done it a little faster, but I'm fussy. I think you get the idea. I think that I don't have to show you much more. Let's go over to the weigh scale and let's just have a look and see what we got. So we're at 107.5, so we saved maybe 23 grams. This one started life at 137.4, and we're down to 117. So I can get this one to the same weight as that if I finish off this. So that'll be a nice set. The next thing we're going to do, we're going to work on we're just moving right along. We're going to work on the shifter mechanism. This is out of the Aermacchi, and this came on a 4-speed, and we got 5-speed in it now. So you have to modify this. This pin needs to be a little bit larger, and I'm going to drill holes to save some weight. And then I got a 3/8 drill. This is pretty heavy. This 3/8 drill is going to drill right down through there because it's easy to hold here. So that's going to be quite a bit of weight saving. So we're starting out, this is stock, 359.3. Let's see how much weight we can save there. I know we can save a lot. First of all, we're gonna press this out. I'm going to put a socket here, going to go to the arbor press and have some sort of a drift here and press that out. Okay. Oh yeah, we're tight. There we go. Oh, that's pretty tight for a little pin. There we go. There's the pin. Nothing special, but it needs to be a little bit bigger. Just a little bit bigger. So let's go over to the lathe now, and we're gonna drill a big hole and save some weight. We're going to see how much weight we saved drilling the hole. I put the pin back in, so this is just from the hole. 312, 312. So we saved 47 grams. That's a bit, 47 grams. Zero. Okay. see if it fits. So here's the difference in the parts. That's what they look like. This one is larger, so the shoulder, which butts up against the main casting, it's got more support. That's one of the differences, and you can see the difference. You see the difference? It's a little bit larger there. That's what you do when you go from 4-speed to 5-speed. Well, not a huge press fit, but it went in there. I could have left that a little longer. Okay, what we're going to do now is to open up that a little bit. I'll put in a punch and we'll flare it so it doesn't want to come out. I've got a punch and I got a 2-pound hammer, and if that doesn't flare that end out a little bit, I don't know what will. I don't think that's coming out. So there we go. Oh, let's check the weight. It's because we did drill a hole through there, so it's exactly the same weight, 312. So we saved 60, 40, 38 grams, something like that. So that's good. Save a little here, save a little there. Have a nice light bike. Okay, one more thing that's crossed off the list today. We're going to do a little bit of safety wiring. We have to drill holes in the nut, and then I'm going to show you how to safety wire. So I got a 27mm wrench, and we'll take off the nut. We're going to talk about safety wiring a little bit. I made a fixture a few years ago. I didn't always have this. I used to drill them by hand, and this fits onto the nut like that. You see how it's a 60-degree angle, and there's a hole through there, and that's where the drill goes through. So it starts it, and then it comes out the other side. That's when you're through. So that's going to get held in a vise, and then we're gonna drill down. And then we're going to safety wire it. This is safety wire. It's stainless steel. This is how it comes. Well, this is what I got. 0.32 inch. That's the size of the wire. And then part of my kit. When I would go out to the races, I would have everything in this thing, because this is all to do with safety wire. I got my side cutters. That's what cuts it. These are the safety wire pliers, and I'll show you how that works. They lock, and then you pull this and it turns the wire, and then you cut off the excess, and then you bend the end so that it doesn't have a sharp edge sticking out. Just doing a little bit of pressure at a time. And you can see there are some chips coming off, so something's happening. Something doesn't sound right there. Okay, let's have a look and see what's going on. I think what happened is when the drill went in, it didn't go straight, and so it's coming out now. You can see where it wants to come out right there, but it's not lining up with the hole. It's hitting too high up in the fixture. So what do you do about that? I'll put this in here, and I'll just continue the hole. There we go. Okay, so it came through. It's just that the drill went at an angle and was hitting the fixture. So I started on this side and it came down and the drill was hitting right there. That's why the drill wouldn't go farther. You can see where it's shiny there, because when the drill went in there, it angled. So not perfect, but it's better than nothing. Let's go do some safety wire. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to safety wire it. Okay, this all has to come off anyway because I need to redo this. I don't have the chain on. I'm going to safety wire the nut to this front part here, to that thread, just to show you how I do this. As the nut unscrews, it goes back this way, so I need to have that end up at about right there. So if I leave that one there and I tighten the other side of the axle, that'll work. Okay, that's where I want it to be. So I take out some safety wire and I take off maybe this much. I like to straighten it a little bit. I just run it through my fingers so it's not so kinked. Then I put the safety wire through like that. I bring it over. So it's going to twist clockwise. And I'm kind of measuring how far I need. When you twist the safety wire, because of the act of twisting, it shortens. So I'm estimating that I need to start up at my thumbnail, right there. So, see how I did that? I squeeze it, and then this is the lock. When you push it back, see that? See how it springs back? That's the lock. Now you hang on to this and watch what happens. It's pretty cool. And so I decide how much of a twist I want. And something like that looks pretty good to me. So let's see how I did. I went too long, that's okay. Take off a twist. Pull it like that. I get it started. Then I lock the pliers on again. And I give it another twist. Like that. I cut it off. Maybe about 5/8 of an inch, something like that. And that's what the tray does as well. It holds all the little bits, because if you're racing, you don't want these things to end up lying on the asphalt, because they'll get stuck in a tire and someone's going to get a flat. So I always make sure that all of the ends of your safety wire end up in a bin. And then you see what I do here. I take the pliers. Now you don't have to, see, I can touch that, there's no sharp edge. So that is now safety wire. You don't want the safety wire to be super snug, but you don't want it to be loose either. For me, that's good. Thank you for watching our Aermacchi series on building a race bike. We appreciate you watching. Mitch and I like coffee. I think you know that. If you buy us a coffee, that'd be great. Thumbs up. And we'll hopefully see you next week. Stay safe. Have a great week.